Okay, so if you've ever worked in networking, you know the feeling. You've got that console cable in hand, you're staring at that blinking cursor on a brand new switch. It's a rite of passage, for sure. But, in today's world of agentic AI and these fancy one-click deployments, we've got to ask a serious question.
Seriously, think about it. Was all that time you spent typing enable, conf-t, setting up VLANs, was it all just an academic hoop to jump through? A relic from a time gone by? It's a totally fair question, and I bet a lot of us have wondered the same thing.
And look, for a long time, that's kind of been the thinking, right? You do the manual stuff to pass the test, and then you get to the real tools, the automated platforms that are supposed to make all that CLI work totally obsolete. But what if that whole idea is just wrong? And this is where we get to the heart of it, the myth. The thing everyone seems to believe is that automation killed the command line. But the reality? The CLI isn't dead. It's not even close. It's the bedrock. It is the ultimate source of truth that every single automation tool, whether you see it or not, has to rely on.
So this gets us to the real soul of this whole explainer. Those basic skills, they aren't just history lessons. They are the absolute DNA of a modern AI-ready network. And really understanding that DNA, well, that's what separates a good engineer from a truly great one, especially now.
Let's think about that first assignment a little differently. The point was never just to have you memorize a bunch of commands. No way. It was about teaching you to think like an architect, how to build a solid blueprint for a network that's stable, secure, and efficient, right from square one. And that blueprint, man, it's absolutely timeless. The things you were told to do, secure the device, set up your management access, define your VLANs, all of that maps directly to the unbreakable pillars of all modern networking. And here they are: security, accessibility, and segmentation. These are the big three. Every single task in that basic switch setup was designed to drill one of these core principles into your head. And they aren't just abstract concepts, they are the very things holding everything else up, especially in these crazy AI-driven environments we're building today. So check this out. When you typed enable secret, you weren't just slapping a password on a box. You were learning the principle of device integrity. And why is that a huge deal now? Because today's AI, it layers its intelligence right on top of the hardware. So a compromised switch doesn't just leak some data, it can actually poison the telemetry, the very data the AI needs to see the network. And that corrupts its ability to make those critical split-second decisions. The stakes are just so much higher now.
Okay, so I know what you're thinking. What about automation? Doesn't that just handle all this for us? Well, this is where a really great analogy comes into play. To be a real master of an automated system, you have to know what's going on under the hood.
And this quote just nails it. A pilot learns to fly the plane manually for a very good reason. Because when that autopilot fails, or when things get weird, they need that fundamental, hands-on knowledge to take control and save the day. It is exactly the same for us as network engineers.
You know those slick, beautiful dashboards you see in tools like Ansible or Terraform? They're basically just abstractions. They're translators. When you click a button that says Deploy New VLAN, what's really happening in the background? Well, that tool is generating and pushing the exact same iOS commands you learned way back when. Knowing that language means you can troubleshoot the translation when it goes wrong.
All right, so let's connect the dots. How does this old-school knowledge help with the biggest, baddest problems we're facing today? Well, AI and large language model workloads create traffic patterns that are just wild. They're incredibly demanding and totally different from what we're used to. And it turns out, your old skills are the key to taming them. So one of the biggest headaches in these high-performance networks is something called an elephant flow. Picture this, a massive fire hose stream of data from one single process that can completely clog up the works. It literally blocks all the tiny but absolutely critical little synchronization packets that thousands of GPUs need to talk to each other and stay in sync.
So, how do you fight an elephant flow? Well, it comes right back to the basics. That fundamental skill you learned, carving up a network with VLANs to create separate little domains, that is the direct precursor to designing the super complex, low-latency paths you need to train a large language model, without it all grinding to a halt. It's the same principle, just on a whole new level. In 2026, forget just raw speed. This is the metric everyone's obsessed with: tokens per dollar per watt. It's all about efficiency. How much AI compute can you squeeze out of every dollar you spend and every watt of power you burn? A network that's architected properly, built on those foundational principles. That's how you max out this number.
So what's the bottom line for you, for your career?
It means that getting really good at these basics isn't about looking backward. It's about building the foundation you need for the future of network operations, an era we're starting to call agentic ops.
Think of agent ops like this. AI agents aren't just tools anymore. They're your teammates. They're proactively watching the network and fixing problems. But here's the catch. An AI can only work its magic in an environment that's predictable and standardized. That discipline you learn from applying a golden template over and over again, that's exactly what an AI needs. A clean config is like a perfect, readable map for your AI assistant. It lets you focus on the what, the intent, and lets the machine figure out the how.
And this really lays out the journey, doesn't it? It all started with that first conf-t. From there, you mastered that foundational blueprint. Then, you start layering on the modern skills, like automation. And all of it, every step, leads right here, to becoming a true full-stack engineer, someone who gets the hardware, the software, and the AI that glues it all together.
So, at the end of the day, that first assignment was never a waste of time. It was the first block you laid for your AI-ready network and for your AI-ready career. The only question left is, how strong is your foundation?